The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Recorded for LibriVox.org by Shurtagal. Upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of some one gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, "tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more." Ah, distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here for evermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. 'Tis some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or Madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you." Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence wasn't broken, and the darkness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon I heard again a tapping, somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is some one at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not an instant stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. 'Tis this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly thought. Its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore, for we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust upon his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore." Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, "Doubtless," said I, "what it utters is only shock in store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmercifully disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of never, nevermore." But the raven still beguiling all my sad soul into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, from this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gone to an ominous bird of yore, meant in croaking "Nevermore." This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated over. But whose velvet lining with the lamplight gloated over she shall press, ah, nevermore! Then, methought, the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by angels whose faint footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. "Wretch!" I cried, "thy God hath lent thee! By these angels he hath sent thee Respite, respite, and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore." Quoth the Raven, "Nevermore." "Prophet," said I, "thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent, or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all daunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home of horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore." Quoth the Raven, "Nevermore." "Prophet," said I, "thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, within the distant Aidenn, it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore." Quoth the Raven, "Nevermore." "Be that word or sign of parting, bird or fiend," I shrieked upstarting, "get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door." Quoth the Raven, "Nevermore." And the Raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight over him, streaming, throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted, nevermore. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. To find out more or see if you can volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Bells by Edgar Allan Poe. Hear the sledges with the bells, silver bells, what a world of merriment their melody foretells! How they tinkle, tinkle, tinkle in the icy air of night, while the stars that oversprinkle all the heavens seem to twinkle with a crystalline delight, keeping time, 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 in a sort of runic rhyme to the tintinnabulation that so musically wells from the bells, 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 from the jingling and the tinkling of the bells. Hear the mellow wedding bells, golden bells, what a world of happiness their harmony foretells! Through the balmy air of night how they ring out their delight from the molten golden notes, and all in tune. What a liquid ditty floats to the turtle dove that listens while she gloats on the moon! Oh, from out the sounding cells, what a gush of euphony voluminous wells! How it swells! How it dwells on the future, how it tells of the rapture that impels to the swinging and the ringing of the bells, 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 of the bells, 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 to the rhyming and the chiming of the bells. Hear the loud alarum bells, brazen bells, what a tale of terror now the turbulency tells, in the startled ear of night, how they scream out their affright, too much horrified to speak, they can only shriek, shriek out of tune, in a clamorous appealing to the mercy of the fire, in a mad expostulation with the deaf and frantic fire, leaping higher, 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 with a desperate desire, and a resolute endeavor, now, now to sit or never, by the side of the pale-faced moon. Oh, the bells, 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 what a tale their terror tells of despair, how they clang and clash and roar, what a horror they outpour on the bosom of the palpitating air.
Yet the ear it fully knows, by the twanging and the clanging, how the danger ebbs and flows. Yet the ear distinctly tells, in the jangling and the wrangling, how the danger sinks and swells, by the sinking and the swelling and the anger of the bells. Of the bells, of the bells, 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 in the clamor and the clangor of the bells. Hear the tolling of the bells, iron bells! What a world of solemn thought their monody compels! In the silence of the night how we shiver with affright at the melancholy meaning of their tone! From every sound that flows from the rust within their throats is a groan, and the people, ah, the people, they that dwell up in the steeple all alone, and who, tolling, 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 in that muffled monotone, feel a glory in so rolling on the human heart a stone. They are neither man nor woman, they are neither brute nor human, they are ghouls, and their king it is who tolls. And he rolls, 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 a paean from the bells, and his merry bosom swells with the paean of the bells, and he dances and he yells, keeping time, 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 in a sort of runic rhyme, to the paean of the bells, keeping time, 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 in a sort of runic rhyme, to the throbbing of the bells, 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 to the sobbing of the bells, keeping time, 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 as he knells, 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 in the happy runic rhyme, to the rolling of the bells, 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 to the tolling of the bells, 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 to the moaning and the groaning of the bells. End of The Bells by Edgar Allan Poe.
Loom by Edgar Allan Poe. Recorded for LibriVox.org by Shurtagal. The skies they were ashen and sober, the leaves they were crisp and sere, the leaves they were withering and sere. It was night in the lonesome October of my most immemorial year. It was hard by the dim lake of Auber, in the misty mid-region of Ware. It was down by the dank tarn of Auber, in the ghoul-haunted woodland of Ware. Here once, through an alley titanic, of cypress I roamed with my soul, of cypress, with Psyche my soul. These were days when my heart was volcanic, as the scoriac rivers that roll, as the lavas that restlessly roll their sulphurous currents down Yannick, in the ultimate climes of the pole, that groan as they roll down Mount Yannick, in the realms of the boreal pole. Our talk had been serious and sober, but our thoughts they were palsied and sere. Our memories were treacherous and sere, for we knew not the month was October, and we marked not the night of the year. Ah, night of all nights in the year! We noted not the dim lake of Auber, though once we had journeyed down here. We remembered not the dank tarn of Auber, nor the ghoul-haunted woodland of Ware. And now, as the night was senescent, and the star-dials pointed to morn, as the star-dials hinted of morn, at the end of our path a liquescent and nebulous lustre was born, out of which a miraculous crescent arose with a duplicate horn, Astarte's bediamonded crescent, distinct with its duplicate horn. And I said, she is warmer than Dian, she rolls through an ether of sighs, she revels in a region of sighs. She has seen that the tears are not dry on these cheeks, where the worm never dies, and has come past the stars of the lion, to point us the path to the skies, to the Lethean peace of the skies. Come up, in despite of the lion, to shine on us with her bright eyes. Come up through the lair of the lion, with love in her luminous eyes. But Psyche, uplifting her finger, said, sadly this star I mistrust, her pallor I strangely mistrust. Ah, hasten! Ah, let us not linger! Ah, fly! Let us fly, for we must. In terror she spoke, letting sink her wings till they trailed in the dust. In agony sobbed, letting sink her plumes till they trailed in the dust, till they sorrowfully trailed in the dust. I replied, this is nothing but dreaming. Let us on by this tremulous light. Let us bathe in this crystalline light. Its symbolic splendor is beaming with hope and in beauty tonight. See, it flickers up in the sky through the night. Ah, we safely may trust it to its gleaming, and be sure it will lead us aright.
We surely may trust to a gleaming that cannot but guide us aright, since it flickers up to heaven through the night. And thus I pacified Psyche and kissed her, and I tempted her out of her gloom, and I conquered her scruples and gloom, and we passed to the end of the vista, but were stopped by the door of a tomb, by the door of a legendary tomb. And I said, "What is written, sweet sister, on the door of this legendary tomb?" She replied, "Ulalume, Ulalume, 'tis the vault of thy lost Ulalume." Then my heart it grew ashen and sober, as the leaves that were crisped and sere, as the leaves that were withering and sere, and I cried, "It was surely October, on this very night of last year, that I journeyed down here, that I brought a dread burden down here, on this night of all nights in the year. Ah, what demon hath tempted me here? Will I know now this dim lake of Auber, this misty mid-region of Wear? Will I know now this dank tarn of Auber, this ghoul-haunted woodland of Wear?" Said we then, the two, then, "Ah, can it have been the woodlandish ghouls, the pitiful and the merciful ghouls, to bar up our way and to ban it? From the secret that lies in these wolds, from the thing that lies hidden in these wolds, have drawn up the spectre of a planet, from the limbo of lunary souls, this sinful scintillant planet, from the hell of planetary souls." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. For more information or to feel you can volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org.
To Helen by Edgar Allan Poe. Recorded for LibriVox.org. I saw thee once only, years ago. I must not say how many, but not many. It was a July night, and from out a full-orbed moon, that, like thine own soul, soaring, sought a precipitate pathway up through heaven, there fell a silvery silken veil of light, with quietude and saltiness and slumber, upon the upturned faces of 1,000 roses that grew in an enchanted garden, where no wind dared to stir, unless on tiptoe, fell on the upturned faces of these roses that gave out, in return for the love-light, their odorous souls in an ecstatic death, fell on the upturned faces of these roses that smiled and died in this paterre, enchanted by thee and by the poetry of thy presence. Clad all in white, upon a violet bank, I saw thee half reclining, while the moon fell on the upturned faces of the roses, and on thine own upturned, alas, in sorrow. Was it not fate that on this July midnight, was it not fate, whose name is also sorrow, that bade me pause before the garden gate, to breathe the incense of those slumbering roses? No footsteps slurred the hated world and slept, save only thee and me. O heaven, O God, how my heart beats in coupling those two words, save only thee and me. I paused, I looked, and in an instant all things disappeared. Ah, bear in mind this garden was enchanted. The pearly lustre of the moon went out, the mossy banks and the meandering paths, the happy flowers and the repining trees, were seen no more, the very roses' odors died in the arms of adoring airs. All expired save thee, save less than thou, save only the divine light in thine eyes, save but the soul in thine uplifted eyes. I saw but them, they were the world to me. I saw but them, saw only them for hours, saw only them until the moon went down. What wild histories seemed to he unwritten upon those crystalline celestial spheres! How dark a woe, yet how sublime a hope! How silently serene a sea of pride! How daring an ambition, yet how deep, how fathomless a capacity for love! But now, at length, dear Dian sank from sight into a western couch of thunder-cloud, and thou, a ghost amid the entombing trees, didst glide away. Only thine eyes remained. They would not go, they never yet have, lighting my lonely pathway home that night. They have not left me, as my hopes have, since. They follow me, they lead me through the years. They are my ministers, yet I their slave. Their office is to illumine and enkindle my duty, to be saved by their bright light, and purified in their electric fire, and sanctified in their Elysian fire. They fill my soul with beauty, which is hope, and are far up in heaven the stars I kneel to in the sad, silent watches of my night, while even in the meridian glare of day I see them still, two sweetly scintillant Venuses, unextinguished by the sun. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. Recorded for LibriVox.org. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago in this kingdom by the sea a wind blew out of a cloud by night, chilling my Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee, and the stars never rise but I see the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so, all the night tide, I lay down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the side of the sea. End of Annabel Lee. This recording is in the public domain. A Valentine by Edgar Allan Poe. Recorded for LibriVox.org. For her this rhyme is penned, whose luminous eyes, brightly expressive as the twins of Loetta, shall find her own sweet name that nestling lies upon the page and wrapped from every reader. Search narrowly the lines, they hold a treasure divine, a talisman, an amulet that must be worn at heart. Search well the measure, the words, the syllables. Do not forget the trivialest point, or you may lose your labor. And yet there is in this no Gordian knot which one might not undo without a saber, if one could merely comprehend the plot. And written upon the leaf that where now are peering eyes scintillating soul, there lie heard as three eloquent words, oft uttered in the hearing of poets by poets, as the name is a poet's too. Its letters, although naturally lying, like the night Pinto, Mendez Ferdinando, still form a synonym for truth. Cease trying, you will not read the riddle, though you do the best you can do. End of A Valentine by Edgar Allan Poe. This recording is in the public domain. An Enigma by Edgar Allan Poe. Recorded for LibriVox.org. Seldom we find, says Solomon Don Dunce, half an idea in the profoundest sonnet. Through all the flimsy things we see at once, as easily as through a Naples bonnet. Trash of all trash, how can a lady don it? Yet heavier far than your Petrarchan stuff, owl downy nonsense at the faintest puff twirls into trunk paper the while you con it. And veritably soul is right enough, the General Tucker manatees are errant, bubbles, ephemeral and so transparent. But this is now, and you may depend upon it, stable, opaque, immortal, all by dint of the dear names that lie concealed within it. End of An Enigma by Edgar Allan Poe. This recording is in the public domain. To My Mother by Edgar Allan Poe. Recorded for LibriVox.org. Because I feel that in the heavens above the angels whispering to one another can find among their burning terms of love none so devotional as that of mother, therefore by that dear name I long have called you, you who are more than mother unto me, and fill my heart of hearts where death installed you, in setting my Virginia's spirit free. My mother, my own mother, who died early, was but the mother of myself, but you are mother to the one I loved so dearly. and thus are dearer than the mother I knew, by that infinity with which my wife was dearer to my soul than its soul life. End of poem. This recording's in the public domain. For Annie by Edgar Allan Poe. Recorded for LibriVox.org. Thank heaven, the crisis, the danger is past, and the lingering illness is over at last, and the fever called living is conquered at last. Sadly I know I am shorn of my strength, and no muscle I move as I lie at full length, but no matter, I feel I am better at length. And I rest so composedly now in my bed, that any beholder might fancy me dead, might start at beholding me, thinking me dead. The moaning and groaning, the sighing and sobbing are quieted now with that horrible throbbing at heart. Ah, that horrible, horrible throbbing, the sickness, the nausea, the pitiless pain, have ceased with the fever that maddened my brain, with the fever called living, that burned in my brain. And oh, of all tortures, that torture the worst has abated, the terrible torture of thirst, for the naphthaline river of passion accurst. I have drank of a water that quenches all thirst, of a water that flows with a lullaby sound from a spring but a very few feet underground, from a cavern not very far down underground. And ah, let it never be foolishly said that my room it is gloomy and narrow my bed, for man never slept in a different bed, and to sleep you must slumber in just such a bed. My tantalized spirit here blandly reposes, forgetting or never regretting its roses, its old agitations of myrtles and roses. For now, while so quietly lying, it fancies a holier odor about it, of pansies, a rosemary odor, commingled with pansies, with rue and the beautiful Puritan pansies. And so it lies happily, bathing in many a dream of the truth and the beauty of Annie, drowned in a bath of the tresses of Annie. She tenderly kissed me, she fondly caressed me, and then I fell gently to sleep on her breast, deeply to sleep from the heaven of her breast. When the light was extinguished, she covered me warm, and she prayed to the angels to keep me from harm, to the Queen of the Angels to shield me from harm. And I lie so composedly now in my bed, knowing her love, that you fancy me dead, and I rest so contentedly now in my bed, with her love at my breast, that you fancy me dead, that you shudder to look at me, thinking me dead. But my heart, it is brighter than all of the many stars in the sky, for it sparkles with Annie, it glows with the light of the love of my Annie, with the thought of the light of the eyes of my Annie. End of For Annie by Edgar Allan Poe. This recording is in the public domain. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. To find out more or see how you can volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. 2F by Edgar Allan Poe. Beloved, amid the earnest woes that crowd around my earthly path, drear path, alas, where grows not even one lonely rose, my soul at least a solace hath, in dreams of thee, and therein knows an Eden of bland repose. And thus thy memory is to me like some enchanted far-off isle in some tumultuous sea, some ocean throbbing far and free with storms, but where meanwhile serenest skies continually just o'er that one bright island smile. End of 2F by Edgar Allan Poe. To Francis S. Osgood by Edgar Allan Poe. Recorded for LibriVox.org. Thou wouldst be loved? Then let thy heart from his present pathway part not, being everything which now thou art, be nothing which thou art not. So with the world thy gentle ways, thy grace, thy more than beauty, shall be an endless theme of praise, and love a simple duty. End of recording. This recording is in the public domain.
Eldorado by Edgar Allan Poe. Recorded for LibriVox.org by Shurtagal. Gaily bedight, a gallant knight, in sunshine and in shadow, had journeyed long, singing his song, in search of Eldorado. But he grew old, this knight so bold, and over his heart a shadow fell, as he found no spot of ground that looked like Eldorado. And as his strength failed him at length, he met a pilgrim shadow. "Shadow," said he, "where can it be, this land of Eldorado?" "Over the mountains of the